Welcome back, everybody. We are at Lowe's for the Halloween 2020 season. I'm actually quite excited to show you some of the merchandise that they have today. Now, as we have a quick overview here, it's not quite as exciting as the merchandise you'll see in my Home Depot walkthroughs. Be sure you check that out if you're interested. But they've got some pretty interesting stuff this year. Starting with some fun pumpkins. This one's a bit digital, I think, for my taste. They have some really neat flaming pumpkins, again, at Home Depot, but this one's not bad. And if you're looking for something to put your pumpkin on, of course, we have these little pumpkin stands that make them look like little figures. I absolutely love those things. But speaking of figures, they do have a couple of animatronics. Let's check this one out.
Haunted? Maybe. It won't take them long to figure it out.
There's just something a little off about that, aside from the fact that their mouths don't move. I think the gentleman guy might be a little bit broken, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we've got some tombstones and what are these? Some pop-ups. This is actually kind of interesting. A little pop-up jack-o'-lantern, or a collapsible jack-o'-lantern, I guess. And then here is a collapsible coffin. I actually have a collapsible coffin that I bought from the at-home store many years ago, and I absolutely love it. It's so nice to be able to store it. It's so small and it's so easy to assemble. A couple more pumpkins. This is neat. I think Lowe's has been listening to me because everything I talk about, we see a lot of this here, like these little Christmas trees. So they have different designs and different colors. That one's a ghost. I think we saw the pumpkin one a minute ago. This is kind of like bats, I believe. And skeletons or skulls. I was just joking about them listening, but maybe not, because we're going to see something I was very impressed with this year. Coming up, right after we look at this tombstone, it is a Universal Monsters collection. And it seems like they're really focusing a lot on Frankenstein. Of course, here is the mummy's hand. Didn't look like any of these try me buttons were working on it, which is odd. I don't like that they have those buttons so visible right there. That's a bit in your face, but I love it. And here we go, Frankenstein. I've been asking for Frankenstein merchandise. Of course, we have the bubbling sort of test tube thing. Frankenstein's head in a jar. I'm not exactly sure what those things were we were just looking at. I'm sorry, I should have paid more attention. Some dolls. These were actually pretty cute. Frankenstein bust I've been looking for forever. Not sure they quite got his face well on that, but the same audio they used in the other Frankenstein. Anyway, here is a mirror that's supposed to have Frankenstein pop up in it as well. I could not find the Try Me button because I did not look on the bottom of the box, which we'll see a little bit later. I'm not sure why they're putting Try Me buttons on the bottoms of boxes now. Makes it just a little difficult to find, especially when there's some conveniently on the front here, like this projector. Love that little skull that turns there. And here we have Frankenstein's face just blinks. They could have at least flashed a couple of things to make it look like it was moving a little bit. And a little decorative cloche.
I want friend like
me. The Transformer. I really love these. They're window clings. They look very realistic. I'm sure it's a very well done prop. I'd love to try that sometime. And then this is a little odd. Not exactly Frankenstein, but kind of. It's for your mad scientist laboratory. I'm not sure what... It looks like cotton balls stuffed in the bottom of it, though, so I think they could have done a little bit better job on that. Here's a Frankenstein Inflatable. Really gone all in with Frankenstein this year. Of course, we have our light projectors. Pumpkin display. Not sure what that is, just a candle holder, and of course we have our books. We've seen those quite a bit these last few years. I like the little squeaking sound. A creaking sound, I guess, but this is kind of neat. I've actually bought that bowl for people in the past. I really love it. Another doorbell. Again, another thing I'm always looking for is a perfect crystal ball.
Come closer. Come right up this way.
I absolutely loved that. It's supposed to be an animated figure in a coffin, but you only see the top part of it. I guess we could make a bottom portion of it. And I'm surprised that I actually really like this radio. I think it's kind of cute. This one, not quite working so well. But look at that bat on the front. I just love the animation. Of course, in case you have a radio-themed haunt. A microphone and then a telephone. Check out the eyes on this guy.
Come with me to the grave.
This book was where I figured out those buttons are on the bottom. It took me quite a long time. So it looks like they're putting that eyeball on everything. And speaking of eyeballs, that pumpkin was kind of amazing. A strobe light and a Nightmare Before Christmas. Projector light. It's kind of nice, but I don't recall seeing... I guess there was a little bit. There's an inflatable we saw in that top display of Jack Skellington. There's probably a bit more too. I kind of like this little raven in the cage. I was really tempted to buy that. I might go back. I'm going to have a lot of ravens in my display this year. Cauldron's kind of nice as well. Be nice if the top was open, though. It seems a little strange. Definitely not sure how I feel about that. I'm not a fan of those little tiny pint-sized things or less than life-size props like little 3-foot figures. At least this one's full size. Let's go ahead and test him. He's not bad. He's got a good look. I just kind of wish he was a little bit more animated. We've got some skeletons, you know, again, referring back to Home Depot, Lowe's main competitor. I think they really knocked it out of the park with their skeletons this year. You've got them in all sorts of creepiness factors. It's not just your standard skeleton. Here we go with a sort of, well, in my first haunt, many years ago, I built a flying crank ghost that looked somewhat like this with the arms that go up and down in the head. And it was quite pricey, so it's nice that there's an alternative now. We also have, I love that little card display with Frankenstein. There's a mermaid up there. Lots of inflatables. I love that giant pumpkin head too. Let's just take a quick look at some of their other offerings. $20 for the small ones that are, what, 3 or 4 feet tall probably. And we have a few Disney selections for the younger kids. I love that skeleton that looks like he's crawling out from under something. That was kind of neat. And this one that says the end is near. I plan on putting that on the walkway out of my house for Halloween, so it's kind of tongue-in-cheek. And of course there's a Happy Haunting one there if you saw it a second ago. I might have to get that for my channel as well. Frankenstein that we saw a second ago too is kind of pricey at $109. Though it's not the most expensive. That dragon there's $169. Few pathway markers, and then the lighting effects that we can put on the house. Now, last year, and I guess a couple of the years past, they had the actual displays that we could test these lights in with the little shadow boxes. So it's not quite as fun just looking at the picture here. But we've got some lighting options. This is some sort of inflatable storage bag. I actually use some of those pop-up bags to store things, and I think those are much more convenient. I do like how these lights have the jack-o'-lantern faces printed on the actual light portion, just to give it a little bit more of a Halloween feel. That's kind of nice. Some of the things we saw up in that top display. And fog machines. See, they want $60 for their fog machine. That's not too bad. And again, those lighting pathway markers. We have a little light up tree down here. Some purple lights. A couple of display figures. Price range isn't too bad. That mermaid, $70. Another little skeleton in a cage. Just gonna say it, I don't like those things. These things are marginally better, the little hanging props. Let's see what this one does in a second. I would think with that sort of noise it should at least shake or something. Moving on, we've got a basket. I don't think I've really seen Halloween baskets before. Of course, we've seen these sort of wreaths. This is one of those, that yellow thing there is a pop-up toxic barrel. I bought a bunch of those last year for my display, and I love them. Again, I use them to store things. And some more Universal monsters and Disney. So Universal and Disney, competitors in Florida, but Lowe's has them both on display. That's kind of interesting. Here are the assortments of the wreaths. And of course we've got some kid things like the trick-or-treat barrels and some caution tape, Happy Halloween, and so forth. Window gels that I do not recommend at all. They stain things, you have to be very careful. A couple of little skeletons down here of fish and bats and so forth. There is that toxic barrel. It looks very similar to the ones I bought last year, but it looks like it might have a little bit more like toxic spillover effect. Not sure.
Oh, yes. The Master will love you. Right this way.
Yeah, gonna have to say no to that guy. He's just a little too digital looking for my taste. This is very old school though. Again, there's something about those lights, it just seems very digital. It's not realistic, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. But that kind of does it for their main Halloween displays. There's just a few things to glance at here in their general fall decor, like these entrance mats and some fall wreaths and so forth. In case you need a little pumpkin with some flowers in it, there you go, or some scarecrows for your yard. But that'll do it. So thank you very much for joining me on my Lowe's walkthrough this year. Be sure to stay tuned for more store walkthroughs, product reviews, DIYs, and so forth. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Take care, stay safe, and happy haunting.